I didn't use my phone for 3 days, and here's what happened. And oh my god, this is mind-blowing. In this video, I'm gonna explain why I decided to do the detox in the first place and the signs that you might need one. I shortly explain what I did during these 3 days with my phone and what did I do not. Because let's be honest, I couldn't tuck it away for the whole 72 hours. And then I dive deep into everything what happened during and after. And lastly, I'll explain exactly why I decided to implement phone detox into my life going forward. Let's dive in. And if you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, go ahead and smash that subscribe button and let's make our friendship official. Believe me, you don't want to miss what's coming. So first, why did I decide to take my phone and tuck it away for 72 hours? I became so unfocused. Like, it got so bad that it was really hard for me to get through my morning journaling. And that leads me into a second reason. My impulse control was getting out of control. The moment a thought popped into my mind, I could not take a pause. Instead, I grabbed after my phone, dropping whatever I was doing at the time. Journaling, working, listening to a podcast, whatever. My impulses were taking over. And if you know me, or if you don't, then you're about to get to know me. I'm all about science. So I wanted to know what is going on in my brain. And I found a scientific study that has been released recently that proves that it takes only 72 hours with no phone use to reactivate the parts of the brain that is linked to impulse control, focus, emotional regulation, and decrease stress-related activity in the brain. So for me, it was a no-brainer. I decided to try it. Now, let's talk about what I did do during these 3 days and what I didn't do during these 3 days. So basically, I didn't check any social media, emails, nothing like that. The only things that I used my phone to do is I paid with my phone, I think maybe 2 or 3 times a day. Secondly, because I decided to do that detox really ex-prompt, I did reply to one of the texts from my brother, just because I didn't want him to get worried that I'm not going to reply to him for 3 days. Then I tried not to use my phone to check the time, but because watch broke, and I did use my phone, I think 1 or 2 times a day to check the time. Other than that, I checked it somewhere else. And during one night, I saw this just mind-blowing sunset, and I could not take a picture or a video, so I took 3 pictures, one like 10-second video, because if you know me, I'm a sunset lover, I'm obsessed with sunset, and I just could not do it. And now let's dive deep into what actually happened during these 3 days that I didn't use my phone. And oh my god, this is mind-blowing. First of all, I started noticing my habits, things that I didn't even notice before. Every time I put my AirPods in, automatically the phone was in my hand. I didn't know I have this habit, now I know I have this habit. The second habit, or a habit stack, that I noticed, every time I turn on the TV, I put the remote next to me, and with that remote goes my phone. So I'm kind of created this habit. Whenever I'm watching TV, I'm also on my phone. And I talk about this one a little bit later. And then a third habit, I like to walk a lot. When I go these longer walks, then I usually like to put on a podcast episode. And I was craving that. My brain was automatically anticipating the podcast, and I'm obsessed with true crime podcasts, so it's like an extra dopamine rush that my brain was feeling and craving. So the second thing that happened is I started to feel. I've talked about it before as well. We use our phones to distract ourselves from whatever we are feeling. And because I didn't have that distraction, I didn't have anywhere to escape from this feeling. So I really had to sit with them, let them move through, and yeah, it was a really good healing moment as well. And the third thing is that I stopped watching TV so much. I realized that I have this habit that whenever I watch TV, I am on my phone. I'm either scrolling social media, creating things for social media, I am researching, like Googling stuff like that, or I am playing something on my phone. And because now I didn't have this extra distraction or extra stimulation, it just got boring for me. And instead, I just used that time to read books, do self-care, clean, organize, daydream, like things that we used to do when we were little kids. And it was quite fun, actually. It got my mind working in a completely different way, and it was really freeing. Fourth thing that happened is I started noticing my self-talk. I started noticing how I talk to myself. Like, I am a pretty mindful person already, but I can't be aware of all of my thoughts. Like, we have around 90,000 thoughts a day, but this extra space, extra freedom did give me so much more insight into my self-talk. I noticed that my self-talk was self-critical. A lot of unworthiness came up. It was a really good insight to know what I have to work with going forward. And then I think one of the biggest things coming out of this experience is that my memory became so much better. I think it has to do something with the impulse as well, because before that detox, I was so driven by the impulse. Whatever came into my mind, I just needed to do it like straight away. So it kind of made me to forget the things as quickly as they came to my mind. But during these 3 days, because I wasn't using my phone and I'm a really big note taker usually, and I couldn't take notes, these things actually stayed in my mind and I would remember them 3 days later. And then the next best thing was that my focus started to come back and I wasn't so impulse driven anymore. I could actually journal through this whole 15, 20, 25 minutes without being distracted or without wanting to do something else. And then lastly, I did notice that my sleep quality got better. And I think it has to do with overall not looking at the screens during the day, not only phone, but also computer and my TV. So I think this is like all three of them together. And lastly, I gained a lot of self-confidence and trust in myself because I have been relying so much on my phone, especially I'm traveling, so I use Google Maps or Google basically for everything, or ChatGPT to get around, find things, stuff like that. And also I've been using calculator so much, and I didn't use calculator once, and I realized or remembered how good I'm actually in math and how good it feels to do simple math with your brain. Like, I could feel my brain cells moving and it was so stimulating. I loved it. So overall, not using my phone for 3 days was the best decision that I could make for my brain health. And it is definitely something that I am going to implement in my life going forward. It did make such a big difference. And now that I have been using my phone for about 3 days, I will say that it's really easy to fall back into these old habits. So I'm definitely going to be more mindful about my phone use. And that's why I also want to implement this phone detox going forward. So I hope you enjoyed this video as much as I enjoyed this experience and sharing it with you, and I hope this is giving you a little bit motivation to do the same. I know the 3 days might seem like a lot, but believe me, it is not. And if you're someone who's quite addicted to your phone and you still have your social media notification on and you react when you get them, then I think you would definitely benefit from this 3-day phone detox. So go ahead, try it out, leave me a comment, what do you think, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.